So today I'm going to use the GEO-MEASURE and test out if I can get good RTK fix while tagging these coffee trees. Right now it's also in harvest season, so I'm going to be looking out for the ripeness of the cherries. Ripeness tends to vary. As you can see in this tree, it's all green, and in this immediate next tree we have red, and some stems are actually green in this case. Well, this is from that tree which seems to be ripe. So yeah, and this tree is not ripe, so it seems to be on a tree level that the ripening is happening. So it could be good to count how many trees are ripe through some kind of a automated system. You download the GeoMeasure app first and make sure you can connect to the device. The GeoDNet is where the corrections come from. Then you can use SW maps because I find this to be better for mapping purposes. If it doesn't connect, you need to close the GeoMeasure app. And then here in the SW maps, you can see how the fix varies. The color indicates what type of a fix it is. Blue in this mode, it's DGPS, it's the worst, which is at about 1 meter of accuracy as opposed to sub 10 centimeters. So I've changed my mind. I'm going to use this to tag all of the coffee trees which are ripe. As you can see, this one is ripe, it's all red, and this is because I'm at the harvest stage and I'm assessing how much of uh, coffee is ripe. I do have a rough idea about the number of trees. I had marked it earlier with the Garmin device, so I'm going to use that for reference, for a rough reference at least. And yeah, just mark these trees. Let's see which areas are more or less. Let me try to get a couple of trees in each place. Maybe there's a pattern which emerges. I had carried this stickering device. It's a sticker gun. What do you call it? It's a pricing label gun, and I thought I would tag it and then use that to uh, mark the trees which have been tagged, but that might be too much of work for one person, so I might need help for that. I'm giving that a pass for now. So my method of doing it is, I'm looking at a tree. If it has more than 50% ripe cherries, I'm calling that a ripe tree. If it has less than 50%, then I'm ignoring it, because right now I'm marking only the ripe areas. Notice that I'm also tracking my walking path. Those are two options. Record track is to record the walking track that's running in the background on SW maps, and record feature is these individual points where I'm noticing that it's a ripe tree. This is SW maps. There's a track of my walking path, and those dots represent ripe trees. Right now, between each of the lines, there's about 6 trees of spacing. I'm not trying to be too exact, but I'm using what I see on the app in the track I've tracked to see if I'm sort of evenly covering the spaces, and along my walking path, whatever I see, I just tag it. So that's my current methodology. It is a bit of an art, more than a repeatable scientific process at this point. But once we put cameras to it and remove this empirical and remove this intuitive judgment of more than 50% ripe, less than 50% ripe, to call a tree ripe, once we use a camera, I think we can make it more scientific and repeatable. But this walking path, whereby you're sort of skipping a couple of trees in between, but of course, as you're walking, whatever you see, and your line of sight could be about plus one or two lines of trees on either side, on your right side and left side. This is a good sample to work with. So this is what a ripe coffee tree would look like, and everything else around it is unripe. As you can see, it's still green. I'm just going to take you down my walking path to make you see what I see. I just scan around like this, and we have another ripe tree, so I'm going to tag this and keep walking. You can see nothing else is ripe around here. Today we seem to have stumbled upon some civet coffee as well. This is how this looks. Yeah, we see some on the ground too. These are of course wild, and as far as I've noticed, they usually sort of perch on these trees. I guess they sit on top of that and they eat the coffee, because a lot of times I've found the civet's coffee eaten poop with coffee beans. It has tended to be on the trees, on these fallen trees or on tree branches. So I've just got done walking around and using the track as reference. I seem to have covered most of the areas, and so now let's see how it looks on the map once I put it up. This is how it looks from a high level. I seem to have covered most of the land sort of evenly. I started out up here. The initial couple of trees I hadn't yet identified this tracking feature and how it could help, but it turns out that it does help a lot because you can get reference to even coverage. Um, so yeah, first thoughts here, as we can see, these smaller boundaries are each of the bits as we have demarcated it. Every coffee plantation would have their own demarcation as required by them, as set by them, set by the farmers. So here I noticed that if I was to start, I would start with this bit first and start from the bottom. And here I noticed that this was a little more exposed to the sun at a particular angle. The setting sun falls like this in this direction from left to right. So my hypothesis is that each of these points are going to propagate and create ripeness slowly. So around it, so around each of these points, this this bit here is very sparse, so I'm going to leave that for the end. Uh, Here there's one cluster in this corner there's a cluster. Here in this bit there's mainly ripeness in the bottom, and so yeah, this will give you some kind of indication. Of course, we can do more sophisticated analysis, but this is sufficient for now for a demo